and welcome to this week's edition of Facing the Nation. I am Malika Ramsey. Thank you very much for joining us again this week. Today is International Youth Day. We have been preaching for more than a decade. In fact, it's become as if it's a custom. We keep saying youths are the future, youths are the future leaders, and I think we say it so much that really and truly it just becomes a go-to, and now we've gotten to a stage where we say it without even meaning anything, and it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. So today is International Youth Day 2016. According to the UN, this year's theme, the road to 2030, eradicating poverty and achieving sustainable consumption and production. Of course, as you know, it was recently reported in the news that it has been finally made public that we have a youth director in Guyana. We've always been talking about the director of sport, who, as you know, is also a youth himself, Mr. Chris Jones, but we finally have a youth director. Because today is International Youth Day, she's extremely busy, but I'm hoping that she will indeed stop by to have a little chat with us about her plans and so on. But for now, we will be talking to another youth who has been somewhat of an inspiration for so many youths in Guyana, one of the very few youth leaders in our city, in our country, and it is my pleasure to welcome back to this program. Of course, he's no stranger to this program, a very good friend of mine. The Deputy Mayor, Mr. Sherod, Duncan, is here. He's going to be talking about the state of the youth, how he has been coping himself as still what we're still calling a new kid on the block, a new leader, and he'll also talk about an activity that is going to be held tomorrow to, in a sense, celebrate and observe this day, which should be very important to us. I can tell you, I'm a bit disappointed and a bit dissatisfied. I haven't seen or heard about it enough for the day. It is supposed to be bigger than this. And if it is that we keep saying, especially us budding politicians and young politicians, we keep saying that the youths are the future leaders, the youths this, the youths that, we have to do this to provide for them. And the hype is not big enough for me today, so I'm a tad bit disappointed. So I'll get Sherod to also talk about that and the state of youth, among other things. Sherod, Duncan, welcome back to Facing the Nation.
Thanks for the invitation. And let's pick up right there. Mm-hmm. If, for instance, we're judging what the state of youth is by the activities, by the buzz about International Youth Day locally, then we're wanting for much. I remember last year when I was helping the Ministry of Health plan a youth activity in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. The same thing was going through my mind, that, okay, it isn't big this year because of a lot of challenges, and maybe next year, if we start planning now, we'll get it right, we'll include more young persons, and we'll see a better International Youth Day 2016. But to my surprise, again, I believe because we only start talking about youth 2 weeks before International Youth Day and planning a week before, that is kind of like a damp squib. But we need to do much more for our young people. Like you said, I'm very heartened too that the National Youth Policy is the green paper. Let me take it from there. On the what is proposed to be the National Youth Policy is finished and has been laid before the Parliament. And I'm eager to read the contents because it affects me. It affects thousands of Guyanese. I think the census tells us that youth make up the majority of our population.
Yes.
And so we are critically important. I mean, some persons would want to argue for a whole ministry dedicated to youth as against just a department. But these are the things that we definitely have to grapple with. Part of the Secretary General's message to youth for 2016 is empowering our young people. And I think that is what we really and truly got to embrace with open arms.
Sherod,
empowering our youth.
Let me jump right in there. Again, just as we say youths are the future leader, and again, I am always in a sense, the pessimistic sort. Empowering young people. What does it mean? What should we be doing? And what is Guyana missing?
And maybe because we think youth are the future, they're gonna be useful sometime down the line. That we treat them that way. I too, like you, Malika, grew up hearing that youth are the future, and I want to know, when does that future come? Right? When does that future come? I'm almost out of the range of being considered youth.
The fact is, in other countries, you are not considered a youth. We are not considered youths in other parts of the world.
And my own activism has been because of that. because a lot of young people are going to grow up with the same question. When does that future come where young people are part of the decision-making process, are part of the mainstream as against the fringe, are part of the movers and shakers in our country? And so part of my own, what I've allotted to myself as a mandate is empowering our young people to make sure that they have the right tools for now. And I think I saw that in somebody's post on Facebook, commenting on the very same issue. Youths are not the future. Youths are the now. Right? We don't have that time to wait until somebody else gets it right, until the next 3 or 4 years when our votes seem to matter, and then people come calling and they're ever ready and they want the photo ops and they want the votes and all that. But we matter now, and so jobs matter to us. The economy matters to us. The city and how it's managed matters to us. Health matters to us. The economy matters to us. But first and foremost, jobs. I can tell you the amount of people on a daily basis who call, who write, who message on Facebook and Instagram asking about jobs. I finished high school, I finished university, and I just want a job. I want to contribute. I want to be a meaningful part of wherever I'm living, my neighborhood, and so on. I want to work.
You talked about jobs, and I'm happy that you talked about the fact that it keeps coming. Jobs. This is always the thing. One of the problems we hear young people complaining about, you've had this problem, I have had this problem, our younger siblings will have that problem, is that when it comes to jobs, some of the things that you hear, one of the things that really is a challenge for young people, you hear, maybe you just wrote CXC, you have all these long lists of fancy subjects with really, really good grades, but you don't have the experience. How, as a young person you're in a big world right now because you're all over, how do we deal with that? How can we fix that?
We have to create jobs for our young people at various levels. In other countries, during summer like this, it's just a natural transition to get a summertime job at a supermarket or any place else. And we have to make those provisions for young persons. Again, young people have contacted me. How can I get some work?
Some experience.
Some experience. And I was very heartened recently when I heard the mayor instructing the town clerk that we must re-engage our teenagers in this manner, that during summer, out of high school or from the university, when you're on break, you should be able to come and get some experience in whatever department of the mayor and city council. But I would say to young people, as you wait, occupy, which means if you, after high school, you don't get a job, go off to university. If you can do both, bless God, but continue to push yourself academically as well as professionally and socially. Don't wait for that ideal job. Another thing too, there might be jobs out there, but people think, oh, this is beneath me, right? I'm too qualified for this. I think you got to eat also,
exactly,
right?
Yes.
And a little money coming in at the end of the month is better than no money coming in at all. People see sometimes the success, Malika, but they don't see the journey.
True.
And I can tell you this. There were times in my life on a summer break like this, when I went and I tended to cows. There was a man living in South who I think was a former crime chief, Skip Roberts. He used to keep cows. And during summers, I used to go there and milk cows, right? Just to have some money in my pocket and take the ease off of my mother. There was a screen press printing just behind where I live. Sometimes I would work there. There's a bar on Sheriff Street, or there used to be a bar on Sheriff Street, CNS. I used to wait tables there during some summers. There's a short-time hotel, I think it's still in operation, in Lower Durban Street. I worked there as a receptionist one summer, right? That didn't dictate the outcome of my life. And I think the Bible tells us that a man's life is not determined by its beginning. But if you want to sit down and cry out that there's no work, there might be work, but not the work that you want to do, right? So I would tell young people to occupy until, to get your foot in the door until you get what you really want. While we're on that, allow me to say another point. I find also that a lot of young people are dissatisfied, even with the government. They didn't get a job that they wanted in the government or the position or whatever. But take a position to get your foot in the door, and shine. Seek to shine. Seek to do good. seek to be a blessing wherever you are, and you never know where that can lead you.
Exactly, because you're out there and people are seeing you, and
Yeah,
indeed,
yeah,
you never
yeah.
know what will happen. Viewers, if you're now tuning in, today I am having a conversation. Of course, the beginning of this program, I'm having a conversation with the Deputy Mayor, Sherod Duncan. Of course, our conversation comes in light of the fact that today is International Youth Day. Sherod is one of our very prominent youth in our country who holds a very high office, so we're using him also as an example, and we are also discussing the state of the youth. Hopefully, I can also have a chat before the end of this program with the new Director of Youth, Miss Melissa Carmichael. But for now, let's continue with our conversation.
You're stuck with me.
Yes, I'm stuck with you, and I'm happily so too. So thank you very much for that. Let's talk about how you have settled in. Again, you were more or less, even though I know you were working towards it, you were publicly campaigning and doing a lot of work, but it's not been 6 months. Am I correct? Yes, it's not yet been 6 months. How have you settled in as a youth leader and as a youth official in such an environment that can be very vicious at times? Because, of course, the viewers know this. You have been having a battle, for want of a better word, with the mayor. How have you settled in, and how can young, because some young people might be looking at it and saying, you know what, if I was Sherod Duncan, I'd just move on, resign and move on. Because it honestly, and I think I said this a few weeks ago on Facebook, that frankly, I am a youth in the middle of it. And I read certain things and I got a bit frustrated. And I even said this to you, that look, I'm tired between what seems to be a public battle between the mayor and the deputy mayor, especially since the deputy mayor is a young person who is supposed to be able to get things done. So let's talk about all of that and how you've managed to settle in and still stay in it. I mean, again, it's not 6 months yet, but let's see.
Part of what keeps me going and part of what takes me to work every day is the fact that we have people in a system over 15, 20, 21, 22 years who are not stepping out, right? And so I have just gotten in there just under 6 months. Why should I run, right? I'm here to work for the people of Georgetown. I'm bringing all my talents, my education, my experience to bear on the job that I want to do for the city. And so if people get up every day and engage a system, and they've done that for 15 years and they aren't tired, you know, it's much, much too early for me to be tired. And so that gets me up every day, seeing the challenges that the average citizen face on a daily basis, gets me to work every day. And seeing what our young people are going through, the kind of challenges they have, takes me to work every day and encourages me to use whatever little influence this job offers, whatever little authority it brings, to bring all that to bear on the issues of our youth and seeing how I can lift them up as I'm lifted up too.
Okay. I know you were once, and I think to some extent still are, a student of the University of Guyana.
Correct.
How can the University of Guyana contribute, do more? Because as a student, I know that they are trying. How can they do more to satisfy our young people and again fulfill these words? Well, we're not saying anymore that the youths are the future. If the youths are now, how can the University of Guyana step up its efforts to ensure that the youths are indeed now?
One, the university has to become a part and has to realize the part it plays in the society in which it operates. For instance, the university is bordered by Sophia Turkine Commons Lodge. I wonder how much work, how much benevolent work the university does in Sophia on an academic basis, in terms of research among some of the disadvantaged people in our country. I wonder how much benevolent work they do in terms of just naturally reaching out, in terms of giving, in terms of embracing the young people in that community, as part of its own service to the area in which it operates. I wonder how much of that happens. And so the university has to take part of the blame for what is happening in our country, and especially in Georgetown also. The university is in Georgetown, and that is why when the students were protesting recently about the conditions there, I went to the university and I held up a card on two bases. One, I'm a resident of Georgetown, and what affects the residents of Georgetown, by extension, affects me also. And two, I'm a student at the university, And so I have a vested interest in the quality of education and the quality of facilities. And also the messages to the students there. You don't have to wait until you have your degree to begin to work, whether for the university, its community, or the city and country at large. And I'm not just only talking this is something that I practice. And as a matter of fact, when I leave here this afternoon, I'm going to talk to some of the students there. I think credit to the government. I noticed recently that through the Attorney General, some of monies were given to law students to aid in their payment of their UWODing law fees. To date, I haven't seen one letter in the papers saying thank you to the Attorney General, even if you think you deserve it. You understand me? A simple thank you could go a very far way.
But we
now,
beat up
all
when
of you,
it's absent.
exactly, you would have been there rowing and saying, well, the government ain't doing nothing, and this and that. And we have worked for that for a very long time, asking the government to continue to start back paying the economic costs for its students. To date, I think it is 4 or 5 days after the fact, I haven't heard one student, whether from the university, one law student, or even the president of the UGLS, the Law Society, say thank you to the government, or even articulate what more can be done. It means that we don't see ourselves as part of the city. We don't see ourselves as part of the system. We go for the little paper, and probably we already got a ticket bought, waiting to fly out to get somewhere. But we have to be relevant to the time we are living, and this is the time we are living. Which brings me back to something you mentioned early. I don't mind the challenges at City Hall.
City Hall,
right?
I'm definitely going to come back to City
Hall.
Hall.
I don't mind it. I would rather stuff be happening, even if it might be negative stuff, that gives me a chance to work. As against, it's a period where nothing is happening and it's just boring and dull and drab. This is the era in which I was born, thanks be to God. And whatever this life and city and country throws at me, I thank Him for the strength, the wisdom to deal with it. And part of my own challenge is not just picking at issues and picking at personalities for just the sake of that. Is finding what the principles are and standing up for my own principles as a person. And I would always say that to me is not only about doing the right things, right? We have to do things right, because everybody might want, for instance, money for the city. It takes money to run a city, and that is a right thing. That's a good thing. But we have to do things right in order to get to that. We can't break every law, disregard the processes, disregard the system, disregard the council, disregard the government in terms of generating income. We have not only to do things right, but we have to do the right things.
Okay, good. There are a couple of other things I want to get to. I know viewers, Sherod is also here to talk about, again, this conversation all comes against the backdrop that today is International Youth Day. Sherod is also going to talk about an event that's happening tomorrow to mark and to celebrate International Youth Day. Before we get to that, a couple other things, Sherod. You were just talking about the city and the fact that you don't mind the challenges that you're getting and you're willing to work around this and so on. Whether it is a supported plan or not, do you at this point have a vision for the city? Because let me say this to you. Apart from looking to what are new councillors and a new process, what is supposed to be a new procedure and process at the city council, people got excited when they saw a young person in that position. We saw the cleaning up of Georgetown and so many other things that the city council, the new administration of the city council came in and support after the government started it. But complaints are beginning again. It seems as though we have lost some sort of steam. We have lost the steam in Georgetown. So Sherod Duncan, what is Sherod Duncan's vision, again, whether it is supported by the council or not, for Georgetown, and to keep us going on the right path in terms of a clean city, a fresh city, and to quote the president, a green city?
I think part of what we have to aim for is what International Youth Day centers around, is sustainability. And the theme from this year is taken from, I think, Development Goal number 17, which deals with sustainable production and consumption. Sustainability holistically, everything in terms of a city. We could think about sustainability in our programs. We have, I wouldn't want to say a cleanup campaign, because cleaning the city is supposed to be an ongoing thing, right? And so how do we make that sustainable? As you said, and as lots of people are observing, the city seems to be slipping back into that uncleanly mode. And we have to war against that. We have to fight against that. It means that whatever systems we employ must be sustainable systems. I believe strongly that cleaning up has to go hand in hand with a strong public relations campaign, right? That not only do we clean the city, but we tell people and we educate people why the city should be clean, of all the health implications, the economic implications, the tourism implications, that we run a PR campaign in tandem with an education program for our schools. And we don't have to do this. We can see how we can piggyback on what government might be already doing in the school system, and even in some instances, private entities. Good? So in terms of the cleaning up aspect, it's a 3 or even a 4-prong approach, because it takes finances also. How do we finance for a cleaner city? And that is something that we have to sit down collectively and think through. Good. Also, I have a little peeve with how we treat our workers as a city, and I've said this in the last council meeting, that we have to take more caution and more care, and we have to move heaven and earth to treat our workers better. That I must not work 28 days per month and wonder whether I'm getting paid on the 29th day or the 15th day of the new month and all of that. If we love our workers, if we value them as equal partners in the forward movement of our city, then we will treat them a certain way. They won't have to worry about a hole in their shoe that is supposed to be provided by us as a council, or the old clothes they have to wear, or inadequate tools and all of that. That we really have to sit down collectively, and not only among ourselves. The president has been saying it time and again, the need for consultation, the need to talk to other persons and other stakeholders about these matters. How do we move the city forward financially, right? Because it takes money for all the projects that we're going to want to execute in any given any given financial year of the council.
Of the council, yes.
Good. So whether it's cleaning up, whether it's health, whether it's our projects, how do we make our city a green one and a sustainable city? And it might entail working with retailers and wholesalers in terms of our solid waste management at the source, so that less of it comes on our street. Maybe, and I would hazard to say yes, that the businesses also should have an interest in the kind of cleanly city that we have. And so they have a part to play based on the commodities that they sell, whether those are green commodities, whether we're still using styrofoam, whether we're still using a large amount of plastics in our packaging, what is the biodegradable ratio to non-biodegradable, things like that. We have to be able to sit down and talk about, and not only talk about a green city as an abstract concept without putting the hard processes in place to achieve that kind of green city.
All right, great. Again, before we go to tomorrow's activity, your constituency and the youths in your constituency, what programs do you have in place, or ideas? Again, to just prepare them for the world at large, and again, prepare them for now.
Great. Through a group that I'm a member of in South Ramsey Gardens, and constituency 14, which is my constituency, South Ramsey Park, spanning all the way to industrial estates. It encompasses South Ramsey Park, South Ramsey Gardens, Roxanne Burnham Gardens, Shirley Field, industrial estate, all of that. And so what we have been doing through the community group there is skills training for our young people. We have moved to rehabilitating some of the play fields in the constituency. 2 in particular, one on Oriala Avenue and one in Touquet Drive in constituency 14. This group, the Lions, in collaboration with the Ministry of, I think, Social Protection, they are rolling out a program to reduce violence among our young people, which entails a lot of skills training. I'm happy that Mark and the relevant subject minister, they're going to be launching the program in constituency 14. Constituency 14 young people are going to benefit tremendously from that project as well. So we're capacity building among our young people, and very soon we're going to be partnering with business entity in the constituency also to share space with them for a constituency office. And through this office, we're hoping that we can channel young people in the right direction, as in terms of skills training, in terms of jobs, in terms of capacity building for themselves. We might be able to do some workshops right there, how to approach an interview, how to approach university life and secondary schooling and all of these kinds of issues. And we're hoping that over time, that council of itself buys into some of these ideas and throws some money behind it as well.
Okay, so you definitely are preparing the youths and so on in your constituency. I have to begin to wrap up my conversation with you soon, even though I know you would like to sit here for the entire hour with me. Let's talk about tomorrow's event.
Yes.
That is really for celebrating
Yes.
Youth International Youth Day.
The Secretary General of the UN, as part of his speech for International Youth Day, he talks about empowering our young people, and it's always been a concept very close to my heart. I mean, lots of people can talk the talk, but lots of people can walk the walk. And part of what I'm going to be doing over the next 3 years, I've set myself a goal of raising $10 million to empower young people, and this is giving back to young people. I know we have a lot of youth organizations, whether in Georgetown or throughout our country. And being a part of some of them, I've realized over the years that the challenge has always been financing. You can get as many aspirations as you want to clean up Georgetown. If you don't have a hoe, a glove, a face mask, a bottle of water, you ain't going no place.
Exactly.
Good. And so part of what we're doing over the weekend, I'm partnering with Gravity Lounge, which is right in Camp and Regent Street, and Navin Singh, who owns the establishment there, and we're having a fundraiser tomorrow evening starting at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
It's $1,000 to enter. I'm happy that the Miss Universe franchise is on board with us. They're going to have their young ladies there, the beauties. It's a good opportunity to meet them. It's a good opportunity also to meet with young business leaders in our capital, young entrepreneurs, young artists. It's a tremendous opportunity to network. As a matter of fact, I ran into Navin at such a networking event. And so from that came this opportunity here. And so we have chosen 6 youth groups, and we're going to give 100% of the proceeds divided among those 6 youth groups.
Are you in a position
to
name the groups?
Yes,
at this point?
This is Come Alive Youth Network. They've been running a tremendous youth conference. I think for the last three years. It's being executed tomorrow. Coincidentally, we're giving them part of a grant from part of the proceeds. We're also giving a grant to Guyana Animation Network. There's a relatively young youth group dealing with animation, teaching young people how to do animation. The Enterprise Youth Development Group, they have been doing tremendous work, not only in enterprise, but in lots of other areas in the city. So we're going to be empowering them financially as well. That is 3. The Future Conquerors Football Club. They're running a tremendous youth program for disadvantaged youth in the area of Tugville. And it's a really tremendous program that they're doing. But again, one of the challenges is finances. And so I know they have a playing field there that they want to get rehabilitated. They're looking to improve their library there and a host of other issues. And we hope that we can do our own small part helping them. What other group we are helping? We are also helping, my God, there's 6 of them.
I know it's slipping
Several
you, but eventually I'll get them from you.
But we're asking people to come out. I know lots of people are getting set for another show, which shall not be
mentioned or named here.
Right?
Yes.
But and then again, the other part of that, a lot of people have been in condemnation of that artist, and I'm saying this is something good you can do with your money. Come out tomorrow evening, support us, and know that your money is going towards something
youth
and youth development and youth empowerment.
Okay, great. Sherod, Always is a pleasure to have you. Viewers, don't forget Gravity, the time again?
8 p.m. tomorrow evening at
8
Gravity,
p.m.
which is just at the corner of Camp and Regent Street.
And viewers, of course, for those of you who will be seeing this broadcast on Sunday, you'll have to ignore that part.
No,
of it.
but the other thing is that people can still make contributions. If you can't be there and you want to make a contribution, you can still do that. You can contact me on Facebook and we can sort it out.
And you can also message me on Facebook, and
Yes.
I promise to get the information to Sherod. Viewers, of course, this has been a conversation with Deputy Mayor Sherod Duncan. Our conversation came in light of the fact that today is International Youth Day. I thought it fitting to have Sherod, since he is one of our very inspirational youth leaders in not only in the capital but in the country. Those of you who are now tuning into the program and you've missed this conversation, I always urge you go to social media. You can find this conversation on YouTube before the end of the day, and it will also be posted to Facebook. So once again, Sherod, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Malika, and happy International Youth Day to all our young people.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that. Viewers, I'll take a quick break. On the other side of the break, I hope to be having a conversation with the Director of Youth, as I promised you earlier, Miss Melissa Carmichael. Stay with Facing the Nation. Okay, viewers, thank you very much for staying with Facing the Nation. As I did say, the theme of today's program is youth, because it is International Youth Day. It is my pleasure now to, for the first time on this program, both ladies, and yes, I asked for one, but I got two, and that is really fabulous. I can't ask for anything else. To welcome both the Deputy Director of Youth and the Director of Youth to Facing the Nation. The Deputy Director is Miss Leslyn Boyce. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful to have you. And of course, the Director of Youth is Miss Melissa Carmichael. Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. You see the energy? She did this because she is currently on the run. Unfortunately, I can't have her for the entire rest of the program, but I promise to have her back soon and we can talk about stuff in detail. But we're going to try to see how much we can push in the little time that we have today. First of all, congratulations, Madam Director.
Thank you.
It is a pleasure for Guyana to have, I know you probably would have been doing work in the area of youth before, and the Deputy Director also would have been doing work, but it's it's a pleasure to have a director that we can publicly point out, well, that is the director of youth. Because we again, I was saying to the deputy mayor that we keep talking about youth, how important the youths are, and there wasn't enough being done to put them out there. So again, congratulations to you. Congratulations to both of you.
I guess everybody's prayers were answered.
Yes.
You got a youthful director.
And I know, yes, you're ready for it.
Thank you so much for your work.
All right, let's talk again. I know you've been basically on the run today. Let's talk about some of the activities that are currently being held to observe International Youth Day 2016.
Okay, today was a big day in Georgetown and across the regions as well, because in the regions we also have some of our officers, they have their own programs for International Youth Day. But here in Georgetown, we had our grand march and rally this morning, which was it was grand, it was energetic, it was just fun this morning. We had our minister there with us and Mr. Jones, who is the director of sports, and all the other officials. And then we went into having the opening ceremony to just formally inform people, give them education as to what International Youth Day is and why we're celebrating and what we expect as we move forward. And then we had our village fair or village day.
All of that happened this morning.
It's happening,
It's happening
now.
Okay. We have our village fair happening right now this afternoon at 2. We have a concert, a youth concert where we have young people showcase their talents. So,
Okay, great.
yeah, it's a big day, man.
Def-
You should be out there.
Deputy Director Boyce, let's hear from you. How have you coped with today, and what are you seeing in terms of the participation of youth? And I'm going to come back to Ms. Carmichael in a bit, because I want to talk about the PR too. Like I said to Sherod, again, I'm feeling hyped now from the energy that I'm getting from her, but I don't think enough would have been said about in terms of preparing us for International Youth Day. Let's get some thoughts from you.
I think we had a little setback because our director is relatively new to the post and just coming on board and had to jump in to more or less pull off such a mega activity for International Youth Day. Of course, she has a great team. We all are and will continue to support her. So I think her just coming on board, the advertisement or the awareness that probably should have been out there was not, because she still had to take a little time to prepare herself, more or less adjust to the office. And I am not sure that she's adjusted as yet because she's just less under a month there. So I think that little setback caused us not, but preparation, I think, for the short time that she came on board and we worked together to pull off this activity, I think it was great. I think the effort and the energy into it was great. She would have mentioned that she's a very youthful person, as you can see, and I think she is a really driving force. I have been in youth work for almost 20 years, and I would oftentimes say to her, yes, because ever so often we become complacent, and then you have
tired.
a fresh energy. So I am feeling as youthful as her
and you're
right
feeding
now,
off of it, right?
and I'm feeling the energy and the working together and the team effort. We, I think it was good. It turned out really good. The rally that Miss would have alluded to, we were expecting 800. We got over 1,000 plus, and that was good, really good. In keeping with our team, the road to 2030, eradicating poverty, sustainability, and consumption, production. I think the effort into today's activity was more or less the focus on the road to 30 and sustainability and production. But what we did, or more or less want to bring out to our young people, is to let them know these are the ways in which we can sustain them, and how we're going to sustain them is through education and empowerment. And though that is why we have the Village Day, where we can educate them, expose them to the various job opportunities, expose them to all of what Guyana have to offer not just jobs, but as it relates to what is it or where you can go as it relates to social issues who you can turn to, because the young people are our future, and if we don't educate and empower them, we cannot sustain them.
Indeed.
So that was our focus.
Makes sense. A lot. I got a lot. Go ahead.
And moving forward, I know there is concern as to information not coming out.
Yes.
But moving forward, that will not
All of that will
happen.
change,
That
yes.
will change.
So
like she rightly said, because of when I jumped in, we were focused on getting the activity off and not necessarily focused on
awareness,
sensitizing persons of the day. However, you got to start somewhere, and we kind of started a little shaky, but moving forward, there will be tons of information coming out of the
And I
youth
hope you're
department.
well aware that, again, this is the first time in a long time we can say, okay, hey, that is a youth director, a public one and a functioning one. So I hope that you know that you're in the hot seat, basically. And you're ready for it, huh?
I am ready for it. But I want people to know, and I want young people to know that I cannot do this by myself.
Okay.
I do understand the needs that we have, because obviously I'm a young person, and I would tell my staff that I came off the streets like everybody else with my concerns. But in order for us to actually move forward, in order for us to get something happening, we've got to work together. We've got to work as a body. You understand? Young people united. Do you know what that can do?
Yeah, we can move mountains.
Yeah, we can move mountains, man. So don't just sit and depend on the youth director to do it all. My office is open. If you have an idea, if there's something that you think we should do different, you have to let us know. Because we're not working just for us to have a good face. We're working to improve the lives of young people.
And I love that you said that, because I always say this, and this is not only in the case of the youth director or in the case of your organization. In almost any organization, there are people on the outside who will see things that you're not seeing, because sometimes you're just too close to it. So I'm happy that you said that. Again, I know I have to begin to try to wrap up with you to let you go. As quickly as you possibly can in the essence of time. What are some of your, and this is even after International Youth Day and after today's events would have died down and so on, what are some of your immediate plans for the youth of our country?
Well, right now our biggest issue, or the talk of the day, is unemployment among youths.
Okay.
We know that's a big thing. So we want to really focus on that. Look at programs that we can come up with, that we can get young people engaged. I mean, we can't, like it would have been out there, we can't give everybody jobs, but we can create an environment for them to either develop themselves or to be employed. So that's what we're working on. We want to work along with other organizations, public and private sector, have a mentorship program. Young people come, they learn, they build, and then we can try to start up, businesses for them. It depends on how we're able to network with others. But that's the plan. It's a great plan. We want to have young people with jobs. We want to facilitate that. I mean, we can't be solely responsible for it.
Yeah.
But we will be part of it.
Okay.
We'll be part of it.
And go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think
Not a problem.
what is it basically that we want to be? We want to be that face as it relates to linking, networking, and more or less providing the direction as it relates to young people and jobs opportunity. Because we would have learned a number of jobs are out there, but they are not aware. So if we can network with as Miss would have alluded to, the private sectors, NGOs, volunteers, wherever they are, even you might have scholarship, whatever is out there. I think what is it that we want? We must have knowledge of those information. So young people must see us as the face that if I'm not getting to somewhere or there, let's go to the ministry that has the responsibility for youth. They can link our web pages out there. They can tap into that web page and receive information that is pertinent, that would more or less provide direction as it relates to whatever they want, not just jobs, as I said, but anything that are and is affecting our young people out there. As a ministry, we provide a lot of training too. We provide entrepreneurship, leadership. We provide skill training. What is it that our focus is also is now for us? We are providing competency-based training in our institution. We have 4 institutions fall under the Department of Culture, Youth and Sport. That is the Kurguri Training Center, Sophia Training Center, Vyman Irving, and to some extent NOC. We provide training there too for the young people who would have unfortunately find themselves
on the wrong side.
With the law. So we do not want to leave anybody out. We're dealing with the youth holistically. We're not going to be discriminating against them, and whatever help we can offer, we are willing to. And as I said, there is a lot of energy right now in the department, and we're looking to make a change. So I can guarantee you that you will be hearing and seeing much, much more about what is it this ministry, who has the responsibility for youth and youth development, is doing.
Not to worry, I plan to tap in on it steady. Melissa made me to stage where she's not even taking my calls, but I'm very persistent. Ladies, again, I know I have to let you go. Really, it sounds as though you have it covered, and I look forward to seeing and hearing so much more from the Department of Youth. Again, before I let you go, Melissa, when we hear sports, we hear you. We automatically go youth. We know there is a director of sport, of course, in Mr. Christopher Jones. How close do you plan to work? Because the complaint is there, and again, we're in Olympic season, Olympic fever. We're talking about, our athletes need to step it up and so on. How close do you plan to work with the Department of Sport?
We plan to be very close.
Good.
Because we want people to be able to call Mr. Jones and ask him what is happening over in the youth department, and he must be able to give full details.
Okay.
And he must be able to give full details as to the happenings in the Sports Commission. So we plan to work together, because a youth without sport is not necessarily the ideal youth, and a youth without culture is not a youth either. So all these things must be incorporated. And if he's responsible for sport and I'm responsible for youth, and we have a culture director, when the 3 of us come together, it's power. Because then we can create programs, create projects, so young people can benefit holistically. Okay. So they have sport, they have leadership, admin, they have culture.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you so very much, ladies. Viewers, unfortunately, if you're now joining this conversation, you've missed the conversation, of course, with myself, the still calling her new kid on the block, because she's not yet been in there a month yet, but we expect great things from this new kid on the block. The Director of Youth, Melissa Carmichael, and of course the Deputy Director of Youth, Miss Leslyn Boyce. Ladies, thank you so very much, and keep doing what you're doing and what you've been doing all day today, and you will continue to do.
Yeah, we want to encourage the young people as we leave. You can come on out to the Cultural Center this afternoon. We begin at 2. There's a concert there. We would want them to benefit. There's also the exhibition still out there. We have organizations.
Where's the exhibition?
There. It's on the tarmac at the National Culture Center.
Okay.
We have organizations there that can give information. Educate yourself. It's good to learn. It's good to network. Those are important aspects of deciding where you want to go and what you want to do. So come out.
Okay.
Have a good time with us.
Great. Thank you so very much, ladies, again.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Viewers, this is Facing the Nation. I'll take a quick break and come back with you and chat some more. I even have some footage from that, the handing over of the report that was ordered into the fire, unfortunately, where we lost the lives of 2 boys. That report has been completed. It was handed over to the Minister of State this morning. So I have some footage of that very brief handing over ceremony. Stay with Facing the Nation. right, viewers, thank you very much for staying with Facing the Nation. Unfortunately, we went from a very high note and we have to go a little down because in me showing you this brief ceremony that took place at the Ministry of the Presidency this morning, it reminds me and it reminds us that in July of this year, we unfortunately lost 2 boys. Their lives were unfortunately snuffed out. 2 boys died in a fire at the drop-in center. As you know, a few weeks ago, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, His Excellency Brigadier David Granger, would have ordered that a COI be conducted into the death of those 2 boys. The COI has been completed. That report was handed over to the Minister of State earlier today at his Ministry of the Presidency office. And of course, now I'll ask the operator to show you that footage that was handed in terms of the report being handed to the Minister of State. And of course, during that brief ceremony, we also got some sentiments from the Minister of Social Protection. So just take a look at this. By the time we get back, it will be time to wrap up today's program. Stay with Facing the Nation.
As you're aware, I was appointed by the President to conduct this commission of inquiry into the deaths of Joshua and Antonio George that occurred at the drop-in center while in the care and custody of the state on the 7th of July. Let me say that I'm going to send out some prayers to the parents of those children and also their grieving relatives. For me, this tragedy should never have occurred. And I have sought in my report to provide the President with much needed recommendations that would see the implementation, as I saw it, of some mechanisms and systems that would prevent a recurrence in the future. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So on behalf of the Excellency the President, let me thank you, Colonel Algernon, for this inquiry and the report. We did in fact set some very tight deadlines to which you have stuck, and I'm very happy that today to receive this report on behalf of the President. In my presence, of course, the Minister of Social Protection, under whose responsibility these homes lie, as well as the Acting Chief Fire, Deputy Chief Fire Officer, the Acting Chief Fire Officer, who would have to look at the report carefully and the recommendations which have been made. At the level of the preliminary report which you did submit, I think that we took that report and the recommendations very seriously, and since then, the President has asked the Minister of Public Security to have a fresh look at government buildings with respect to fire safety, fire hazards, and what we need to do to ensure that the buildings are secure for public use. So there has been some action taken since the preliminary report, and I'm confident that the substantial report now that you've submitted here, that the various ministries and the government departments will look at the recommendations very seriously and do what is necessary. So on behalf of the President, I wish to thank you for delivering this report. Immediately, copies will be given to the Minister of Social Protection who's here and the Acting Chief Fire Officer, so that they can study it with their departments and see what needs to be done to ensure that we provide safe and secure places, not only for children, but for anybody who actually have to go into a government building. This, as you said, it was a tragedy, but as a state, we have a wider responsibility, not only for children, but for any person who traverses through a government building or a government facility. And so this is a wake-up call for us insofar as fire safety and security is concerned. Again, I want to thank you very much for this report.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. And the first copy, I respectfully hand over to the Minister of social protection for her.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to say anything.
Well, I want to thank the President first for ensuring that we have a full investigation done into this tragic incident. This, as Minister Harmon said, is a wake-up call for all of us, and I can assure the President and the Ms. Algernon, Colonel Algernon, that the recommendations which she has made will be taken seriously. As a matter of fact, a meeting is already scheduled for next week to meet with the director and the management of the Child Protection Unit. And one of the things we are going to discuss is an action plan on how we're going to implement the recommendations listed herein. Once again, I would like to give comforting words to the George's family and let them know that this is not the end of the road, that my word is my honor, and we did undertake that we will ensure that we do all that we can within our power to ensure that this family becomes a stable family and that they can pick up and move on in their life. And so from that end, we will continue to work with this family.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, let me give a copy to the Chief Fire Officer. This is a copy of the report. Mr. Fire Chief. And I trust that you will find the recommendations herein actionable as far as the fire service is concerned.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Do you wish to say anything?
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for handing over this copy of the Commission of Inquiry. I want to assure not only you, Minister, but the entire nation that the fire service is doing all within its powers to ensure that all buildings, not only government buildings, but all buildings that are commercial and otherwise traversed by members of our country and even beyond the borders who would have been visitors here, that those buildings are safe. The recommendations that I want to urge all and sundry, that the recommendations that we constantly make to agencies, that they implement them so that persons who use those structures can feel safe whenever they visit them. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
What you were viewing there was the very brief handing over ceremony this morning that took place at the Minister of State's office at the Ministry of the Presidency. Of course, the Minister of State, the Honorable Joseph Harmon, was presented with a copy of the report from the Commission of Inquiry that was launched to investigate the death of those two boys who died in that fire in July at the drop-in center. Unfortunately, this is where I have to take my leave from this week's edition of Facing the Nation. I'd like to take this opportunity once again to wish you all a happy International Youth Day. Thank you very much to Sherod Duncan, significant youth leader, and of course Deputy Mayor of Georgetown City. Thank you to the Director of Youth, the new Director of Youth, Melissa Carmichael, and of course her Deputy Director of Youth, Leslyn Boyce. Thank you so very much to all three of them. And again, happy International Youth Day. I am Malika Ramsey. Thanks for joining us. Join me next week. Be good Guyanese citizens. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Goodbye.